Hello everybody, my name is Deli. I'm a AAA level designer, formerly at Ubisoft. I'm here to talk a little bit about a game I've been playing recently that I've been really enjoying. Let's talk a little bit about Sable by Shedworks, published by Raw Fury. I'm finding myself singing very high praises for this game, and I just wanted to share a little insight as a game developer on why I think the introduction and the tutorial is so magnificent. So let's get right into it, shall we? The game prides itself on where it finds its inspirations. The beginning here is really channeling something right out of Breath of the Wild, and I think that's a very poignant start for the game, especially considering how the narrative is. Right from the start, we are met with our main character, introductions, and of course slowly introducing gameplay mechanics. We have here a familiar puzzle mechanic of a player-activated switch right into showcasing climbing, mantling, and the stamina system. This is great because it allows the player agency for how long they want to spend time getting familiar with these gameplay mechanics. So this room here is designed like a playground for a player to dip their toes into these mechanics. Nothing challenging, nothing extensive, and nothing too overwhelming. It's only a few mechanics, so players don't feel like they're having to refer to a study guide before they're even, start playing. So next thing you know, they're introduced to crouching and sprinting, and as we come out of this cave, the hole in the walls elegantly carves out our next destination. So it's so beautiful because it's so subtle and effortless, and it guides the player subconsciously to our next objective. And let me tell you, this part right here is a masterclass in design because what we are about to witness coming out of the cave is nothing short of stunning. So we are instantly met with a beautiful vista. It's jaw-dropping. The art direction, the style, it's just enough to gather the details to make it stand out, yet it's simple enough to be able to draw such wonder out of our eyes. It's almost as if it was a painting or a still out of a comic book. It invokes scale and grandiose, and we've seen this plenty of times in games before, and most notably in Breath of the Wild when Link comes out of the cave. So the player is able to get introduced to the world as quickly as possible while retaining that player engagement. As long as player engagement is high and interest is high, players are going to feel like they are, immersed into the world. So many times we see tutorials go on and on and on and on before we even achieve our first set piece. And these two games that I previously mentioned, which are obviously Breath of the Wild and Sable, really frame the player's choice as an exploration device. It works so well, and I applaud the team at Shedworks for implementing this for us. I love it. I think it's gorgeous. I can't stop talking about it. When we get introduced to sprinting, we now have this very, very clear view of our next objective, and we get this long distance we have to cover. This allows the player to feel like they can veer off course at any moment. So the giant tower in the background gives us a visible landmark in the distance that we can always see, so we always have something to refer to, so we always know where we need to be next. So naturally, our eyes like to gravitate towards large landmarks such as peaks and mountains. This kind of level design is dubbed as the triangle strategy by Nintendo, where the overworld levels and the assets are designed in a shape of a triangle, so you're either always traveling upward onto peaks and mountains, or you're traveling downward into valleys. This also promotes exploration, as players have a tendency to follow natural paths onto peaks as points of interest and down into valleys as they're able to see their next potential destination. When we get into the camp, we get introduced to how the story is going to be told, dialogue options, and what our narrative is going to be. This game moves at a very fast pace, and it really emphasizes how important our player choice is inside the narrative. Once this conversation wraps up here, you're introduced to narrative mechanics, mission design, and a new tool all in once. So this may be a little overwhelming to people. So something I really love about this that is it's a very old school gameplay design from the early 2000s, this super JRPG technique, and it's a kind of a neat way to keep players on track while introducing mechanics and into their inventory or into their repertoire at once. The camera pans over to the next point of interest and physically shows you where you need to be, and then again one more time it pans you over and it shows you physically where you need to be. We see this in early entries in franchises like Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, and Dragon Quest. I love this, and I always welcome it because I think it's a really great way to be able to kind of slowly guide the player and kind of let them hone in on where they need to be, but it doesn't take away from the gameplay any. This is a very quick second. It's very, it takes only 5 seconds. Once we finish this conversation, we get a prompt to use our compass. I love this design because it doesn't utilize menus, so that the player never really leaves the gameplay state. It keeps the player engaged, and the ring around Sable is very simple and unique because since she's always centered in on the screen, we always have a clear view of where we need to be going next, or where we're actually still going. It's very sleek, it's very elegant, it's very simple. I think it's amazing. I can't praise it enough. I love it, and I wish that the more games in the industry use these kinds of workarounds to keep players inside of the game as much as possible instead of sifting through menus. As we go onto our first few missions, it introduces us to more of the dialogue options and the characters. It also allows us to use our main form of transportation that isn't our feet, and lets us tackle our first mission however we want. We could have easily walked to our next destination or used a glider, but it's all about how the player wants to navigate the surroundings, and Sable gives us player agency because the narrative is a self-discovery journey. These next destinations allows us to use the mechanics leading up to this point, so the vehicle, the glide mechanic, climbing, stamina management, and exploration with a bit of puzzle solving. And I think that this tutorial section is, I genuinely adore it, and I genuinely adore this game and how it starts, just because it allows the player to feel like they're coming to this onto themselves. I'm not reading prompts incessantly. I'm not being guided by a player. I don't have to do an escort mission, or I don't have this annoying action sequence in media res. It's just very, very simple and adorable. It's very serene, and I think that Sable really works with this kind of opening because of the narrative through line of having it be a self-discovery mission and have it be this sense of exploration without urgency of having to complete anything immediately. I hope everybody has enjoyed this little tiny design dissertation of Sable's introduction. Please leave a comment if you learn anything new, or if you have anything to contribute at all. I'd love to read it and listen to what you guys think. My name is Deli. Thank you so much for watching the video, and I'll see you guys next time.